In the heart of the rugged West, where the sun beat down with an unforgiving glare and the dust settled on everything like a second skin, lived a man named Silas. He was a simple rancher, his hands calloused from years of hard labor, his face weathered by the elements. Silas wasn't looking for much in life. All he wanted was a gentle wife, someone with a soft touch and a quiet spirit to share his lonely homestead. Someone to bring a bit of grace to his harsh world. So he did what many men on the frontier did. He sent for a mail-order bride. He'd corresponded with a woman named Ilara from back east. Her letters were beautifully written, filled with delicate prose and descriptions of flowers and poetry. She sounded like the epitome of gentility, the perfect woman to smooth the rough edges of his life. Silas spent weeks preparing for her arrival, fixing up the small cabin, even managing to plant a few hardy wildflowers by the porch. He pictured a demure woman stepping off the stagecoach, someone he would need to protect from the wildness of the frontier. The day the stagecoach finally rolled into the dusty town of Redemption, Silas was waiting, his heart thumping a nervous rhythm against his ribs. He'd put on his best, albeit slightly worn, shirt, and had even attempted to tame his unruly hair. But the woman who stepped down from that coach was not the one he had imagined. This woman, Ilara, was tall and stood with a confidence that seemed to challenge the vast, open sky. Her eyes, the color of a stormy sea, weren't demure. They were sharp, observant, and missed nothing. She wasn't carrying a parasol. She was carrying a heavy-looking satchel and had a determined set to her jaw. Silas, momentarily stunned, could only stammer, "Miss Ilara?" She gave him a firm, no-nonsense nod. "That's me. You must be Silas." Her voice wasn't the soft whisper he'd expected. It was clear and strong, carrying easily over the street noise. The journey to the ranch was mostly silent. Silas was at a loss for words, his carefully rehearsed greetings forgotten. Ilara, on the other hand, seemed to be studying the landscape, her gaze taking in every rock, every cactus, every distant mesa. She didn't seem intimidated at all. In fact, she looked intrigued. Life with Ilara was one surprise after another. The first morning, Silas woke to the sound of chopping. He rushed outside, thinking a neighbor had come to help, only to find Ilara wielding his axe with surprising skill, splitting firewood with a focused rhythm. She looked up, wiped a bead of sweat from her brow, and said, "The woodpile was looking a little low. Hope you don't mind." Silas, who had intended to do that chore himself, could only stare, dumbfounded. He had wanted a gentle flower, but it seemed he had gotten a sturdy, well-rooted oak tree instead. She wasn't just physically capable. Ilara had a mind as sharp as a tack. One evening, Silas was poring over his account books, his brow furrowed with worry. A long drought had made finances tight. Ilara came over, peered over his shoulder, and within minutes she had pointed out a more efficient way to manage his feed distribution and a better market to sell a portion of his herd to, which would fetch a higher price. Silas had been doing things the same way for years, the way his father had taught him. He was skeptical at first, but her logic was undeniable. Days turned into weeks, and the image of the delicate woman from the letters faded completely, replaced by the reality of the capable woman standing before him. She learned to ride one of his most spirited horses, not with fear, but with a joyful whoop that echoed across the plains. When a fence broke during a storm, she was out there with him, hammer in hand, mending the rails under the pouring rain. She wasn't the gentle wife he thought he wanted, the kind who would stay inside and tend to the hearth. Ilara was out in the world with him, facing it head-on. One afternoon, trouble came calling, as it often did in the West. Two rustlers, thinking the ranch was an easy target with just one man, tried to make off with some of his best cattle. Silas grabbed his rifle, his heart pounding. This was the moment he feared, the reason he'd wanted a wife he could shelter and protect. But as he crept towards the corral, he saw he wasn't alone. Ilara was already there, hidden behind a water trough, and she wasn't cowering. In her hands, she held Silas's old heavy shotgun, and she held it with a steady confidence that sent a shiver down his spine. When the rustlers made their move, Ilara was the one who acted first. She didn't fire a shot to harm. Instead, she fired into the dirt right at their feet, the blast echoing like thunder. The would-be thieves, shocked to see a woman standing her ground so fiercely, scrambled away in a panic, leaving the cattle behind. Silas lowered his own rifle, a slow grin spreading across his face. He walked over to Ilara, who was calmly reloading the shotgun. "I thought you wrote poetry," he said, his voice full of awe. She looked up at him, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. "I do," she replied, "but my father always said it's good to have more than one skill." That night, sitting on the porch, watching the stars blanket the vast sky, Silas finally understood. He had spent so long thinking he needed someone to protect, someone delicate to complete his life. He had been looking for a partner to stand behind him, but what he truly needed, what his heart had been yearning for without even knowing it, was a partner to stand beside him. Ilara wasn't the gentle wife he'd ordered from a catalogue of dreams. She was real, she was strong, and she was more magnificent than anything he could have ever imagined. He reached over and took her hand. It wasn't soft and delicate, but it was strong and warm, and it fit perfectly in his. "Ilara," he began, his voice thick with emotion, "I sent for a gentle wife." She turned to him, her stormy eyes now soft in the moonlight. "And what did you get instead?" she asked, a playful challenge in her tone. Silas smiled, a real, genuine smile that reached his eyes. "I got a partner," he said. "I got a queen." He realized he hadn't just gotten a wife. He'd gotten an equal, a force of nature who made his world bigger, brighter, and infinitely better. And for that, he was the luckiest man in the whole wide West. Thank you so much for watching this story unfold with us. If you enjoyed this tale of the unexpected on the frontier, please give us a like, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more stories from the Wild West. We love having you as part of our community. See you in the next one.